That's a great title, by the
And
way.
right, I thought so too. I did indeed. It's. I mean, it's. I mean, if you know, the Empire could strike back, it would happen at CES, right? Hopefully, we have some sound coming through. Maybe somebody, maybe we'll hear it or whatnot. I'm not.
I'll,
I'm not gonna pay
I'll just
attention.
not check.
I'm not gonna pay. It's not that. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Um, as
Maybe
you're
it is YouTube.
as yeah, you gotta love the YouTubes. It's all about the YouTubes. If we could be YouTube famous, it would be awesome. But for me, I'm just happy we're here. Although I don't know if you'd noticed, if you go back and look, we've had a lot more viewers. Like, I mean, okay, when I say a lot more, our standard viewership, like not like live viewership, but like the standard viewership of the actual podcast has been, maybe 10, 15 people total. And we get some 30s and 40s
Uh-huh.
and 50s. I mean,
Oh wow.
it's
Yeah.
it's slowly climb. I mean, it only took us, 32 episodes over 2.5 years. I
I
mean,
was looking back at that. Ooh, sound check.
feedback.
We got sound.
Yay.
Um, yeah,
Yippee.
we've been doing this for a while.
At least.
Yeah, at least a while. I
Shockingly.
mean, if it was more of our job, I'm sure that it it'd be better. But it's not our job.
I mean, if we were Linus Sebastian, maybe, and we just decided to quit our jobs and do this full time, maybe we would get enough effort to make the peanuts that we could make on YouTube. Because that's what we would make. We would make peanuts. We are in a niche podcast. I will be the first person to say that. 2 years ago, God Almighty, I wasn't even in the apartment that I'm in right now. I've moved since we started doing these things. That is crazy, Griff.
Did
What?
you know that? I'm gonna blow your mind real quick. Gotta
Mhm.
hold on. We have been friends. What? January 9th, 2020. Holy crap! It's been 4 years.
Did you know I was sick as a dog with COVID when I friend requested you? So maybe that was a sign that I was outside of
four
my
years,
mind.
4 years later, you get COVID again.
4 years. Oh, and that was God. I mean, we're making some assumptions here because, like I said, I don't believe in testing those things anymore because it is just a normal sickness now. But yeah, 4 years later, I don't have. Thank I. It is funny. I mean, it's and I think a great point to start this episode off with, since it is the first episode of 2024. Um, God bless it. I haven't wrote 2023 yet again in 2024, so I'm doing okay so far, guys. Doing okay. Um, but I will say that I have it might be a good take to reflect and look back. I also realized that I know we're calling this episode this is episode 33. Um, frankly, my dear, we have 37 videos because we did one, then 1.5, then 2, then 2.5, then 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3.
Because
Of
that was a
course,
Mario Kart live stream.
yeah, well, that was the beach live stream. That and Chris, I'm gonna say it. July the 4th, clear y'all's calendar. It's happening again. And this
Live worth.
time,
Okay.
this time I am bringing enough computing power and
Are
internet
you gonna bring
that
Triceratops?
no God no. I mean I might bring AF or I might bring the VMAX
An
with me.
alpha.
I actually might
Yeah.
bring one of the regular alphas. Those things are so light. Like, dude, I honestly I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. If I had to choose between a laptop and and the Alpha like 1.1 or Alpha 1.5, those kind of, I would take the
Sure.
Alpha. because double the RAM. Yes, I need a monitor, but pretty much anywhere we go, I can find a place that's got at least 1 or 2 spare monitors laying around. All I got to do is carry the case,
And they're really not that big.
yeah, they're not that, like, it fits under my elbow. Like, I could carry that and a couple of other things and throw everything else I needed to run the thing in a backpack and be under. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I'm probably gonna take 2 of them when I go to a. I'm probably gonna bring Triceratops too, but when one of the conferences that I might get to go to this year, I'm probably gonna take that with me as a demo piece, because those things are just, like I said, they're small, they're compact, but they have way more power that you can use with them. And like you said, if you mix and match GPUs and get, something special in there, call it a day. That was, and also I just realized, if you think about it, the first one, two, three, actually I think like half of the first episodes you ran the stream. If I do remember, like, you were the one that physically set it up and like it streamed through you. I was just
Oh yeah.
Whereas now that
Yeah.
I have Streamlabs and the Streamlabs Pro, whatever you would call it, no, we don't do that.
Yeah. What do you want to do for the 4th of July before we forget about that?
Beach trip.
Is that the like the 4th, 5th, and 6th?
We don't have to tell the entire public our plans, but it's basically straddled around that day. Several days straddled around that. I'll give you some more information so that you and the little man and the little lady can make sure that they're able to make it too, because it'll be fun to have them down there too.
Okay.
It'll be family friendly. Okay, I gotta make sure so that people can family friendly, but fun in general. That's the goal.
Okay.
Also, I just realized something. It's kind of weirding me out just a little bit. Oh wow, I've got to be careful. I keep forgetting I have one of those. What do you call it now? IQ Link, or Insta360 Link. The Insta360 cameras, like the gimbal ones. They're kind of cool. You couldn't see what I'm doing if I was doing it on the camera, because I can move the gimbal around and like show people like all the other cool little background toys in my background right now by just clicking the button and panning it over to see it on my setup and whatnot. I have a lot of boxes. I even have an ARC card. I have an A770. They're not half bad.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And if you've noticed, the performance has gone through the roof, because guess what? If you give someone time to develop drivers, they will only get better. That's why I firmly believe. I mean, with our technology talk of the day to start, the next generation of Intel GPUs, while it's not going to compete with NVIDIA, might be close to on par or something like that with. Oh, I think my roommate's home too. While it's not quite on par with probably not going to be quite on par, but really close to AMD, it's going to be a step up. It's not going to be like the A770 and A750 launch, where it's like, oh yeah, it's a GPU, it works, it displays video, it sucks at gaming. It's probably going to be one of those things where, hey, this is actually, especially if they're price competitive again. I mean, because like I said, I have the limited edition one. Forgetting where I got a point. The limited edition one that the Intel limited edition one. Hola. And with that one, which makes me feel good about it. With that, I have the fact that I got it for like $350 when I got it, and like I said, it hasn't appreciated in value. It's electronics, guys. It's done nothing but gone down. It's like my stubborn self when I buy a terabyte iPhone, because I want the storage. Granted, I use the storage, but it doesn't add any value to anything,
Yeah. I was talking to a guy recently uh, who was wishing uh, back for the days of when the 80 series NVIDIA card was $500.
Yeah, that's not coming
Like if
back anytime soon. But yeah, I know what you mean.
like concept of trying to get into PC gaming and like a 4060. Ooh, what is that? I know that you've already told me,
The
but
first graphics card I have ever bought. I bought this
which was
in 2007, maybe 2008. Actually, I don't know what year it launched. It might have been 2007, late 2007 or early 2008. It is an NVIDIA GTX 295. It literally has two GTX 280s on board and a physical SLI link between the two. Also, for comedy, like if you're wondering, these are the PCI Express switches. Oh, you can't see my hand. PCI Express switches here. Gotta love
how much memory's on that?
them. I think it had 3 gigs, three
Each?
gigabytes. No, it had 3 gigs total, 1.5 gigs each. The 280s actually came with 2 gigs, or you could get them in a 3 gigabyte configuration later on by themselves. But whenever I bought it, I was wanting to power a 40-inch 1080p television, and I was told that I would need 3 gigs of video memory, and this thing did the trick, man. It was pretty good. Um,
That's like what, like $500?
I think it was like, yeah, it might have been $500 or $600 when it launched. Maybe it might. This one might have been 650 because remember it's or seven because it's literally 2 cards on board.
Yeah, yeah.
There are 2 chips.
That's
I mean,
wild.
and those chips are huge, dude. I am impressed at their size even still to this day. It's and actually, truth be told, it's the only this is the only GPU I've ever taken the heatsink off.
Oh,
We are reminiscing already, and I'm loving it. I mean, we don't have a whole lot to talk about other than the fact that CES was just this week. It struck back, and there's a lot of televisions once again are in the go for, right? I don't quite know why, but they are. Um, I need to see. Let's see what else do we have. Ha ha ha. Oh, I also remember something now that I'm looking at it. We live streamed everything when I took it over. We live streamed it from Top Flight and then had to post it afterwards to YouTube into this channel because of the way we did it. That was
mm-hmm.
kind of that one. I'm telling you, memory lane, baby. But I was looking at the so I mean the large format like I keep sitting here going, if you need a screen that is 115 inches, buy a good projector. I mean, you're not. I mean, because clearly, if you're using it constantly, there's. The rabbit hole has begun. I really want to know what a good projector costs these days, because those TVs have to be in the 50, 60, $70,000 range.
So we've been doing a lot. Well, I don't know about a lot. I joined a golf sim Facebook group or a couple Facebook groups
Golf.
because golf sim, yes,
Okay.
yes, golf. Because we did a computer build for a golf sim. Uh, so you got an 8K motion tracker on top.
Oh, nice.
Like a $20,000 motion tracker. And a lot of, well, obviously because you're chucking an actual golf ball forward. It can't be a TV, otherwise you'll kill it.
Right.
I can't tell you.
That's okay.
Uh,
We love kitties. Kitty can make it on screen if she needs to.
Kitty is not making it on the screen. A
I
lot
tried.
of there's So because it's a video game, you want a high quality screen to have a good image, but it also has to be pretty strong because you're whacking a golf ball at it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the nice 4K short throws are like 5,000,
Yep.
which tracks with the cost of a normal 80-inch 4K.
That would
I think.
make very, very good sense to me.
Yeah.
Ultra short throw projectors. Gonna go look them up now. I'm gonna go make sure I take my native resolution. Wow. Okay. Ultra short throw natives are telling me that they are only 1080p. That's got to be a BS thing when I see. Oh no, there's 4K. So
And
apply.
it doesn't have to be a short throw. It could be a long throw.
Um, what would you guess? All right, let's see what LG's got going on. And Samsung and LG. Actually, I'll take BeamQ because they're a pretty high end brand,
I
lifestyle
think
brand.
he's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I need to make sure I go select the correct settings. Oh, that's not gonna do what I want to do. No, that one's normal. Yeah, I mean, I've got one, two here that are. I don't know if the models are similar or the same. I got one here that's $3,000 from Samsung that looks really nice.
Yeah, that
And
sounds about right.
and if you want to get it if you want to get it from a refurbished store, it's basically 2,200. It's like $800 off. But yeah, I mean I mean all the lumens you could possibly need.
And then you go buy a screen for 300 or 500 bucks,
Buy some
maybe.
decent wall paint, man. I like the wall screen paint and paint the wall you're going to use it on every time because that's what you're going to use it on every time. But the point, okay, so I looked at that one. Now let me go back and see what's the top. There's 4K. I want to see what the best 4K projectors they have. Dude, you can get like the ones that don't sit short throw. ViewSonic has one on here that's HDR. It looks like that is, yeah, it does have HDR support, and it 240 hertz too. $1,000.
Brad's Brad's gonna buy a projector.
Oh, I technically I have one. I don't ever use it, but I do have a projector sitting here at the house. Um, yeah, they're nice. Like I said, projectors are great, but that's the point. Like, so like Samsung the wall TVs. Now, Samsung had a really
Stupid.
cool display that was transparent. I don't know if you saw that. That's kind of cool to me. I could get behind like because it's like you're looking through a window, but you're watching a TV screen, a micro LED TV. That was neat. That was neat. Um. Oh, and speaking of what it is, I gotta transition to this so you won't be able to see it, but if you I'll put the link in chat for you because I actually have chat open to be able to look at the C2V enter. This is a company that I'm actually doing some work with, trying to put some of the stuff that we do into it. Transition on. Go. So it's called the Orchid IX. It is a immersive virtual reality experience where you don't wear a headset though. You can physically go into like I call it a man cave, dude. I sworn if I could ever get one, they're not cheap. They're very much not cheap, and they're also very much power draw heavy. Um, yes, if I could get my hands on one to have like around me on a regular basis, it would probably be where my office was. All screen. Just, hey, I need to go look at the spreadsheet. Gotta love. I have to always go every now and then look at my poster on the wall. Awesomeness. When I get sad, I stop being sad and just be awesome instead. True story. That's a quote from Barney Stinson of How Much Your Mother.
Yep.
Didn't know.
Yep. I know that. Yep.
I mean, the you know, we don't know what the what our current, you know, audience is and knows. So I gotta be sensitive. Um, and so yeah, but it's, I mean, it's a dude, like it's, let's see, it's got, okay, yeah. So I mean, now, like I said, this is not designed for video games and all that stuff. It's basically got a so they say it like this. So look, one of them is the immersive workstation. Then they have the immersive theaters designed for 6 people at one time. And then they have the auditorium designed for 15 people to be in it at once. If you actually look at it, the resolution of the image that you're working with doesn't change, which is kind of cool. But this is actually what I was going to do. Is let's go down and show you this.
See, that's what we need to be selling RTX Ada for.
And I don't even, you know, I've talked to them about it because I don't know actually what it takes to run the thing. I know it's got some compute power and requires two 240 30 amp breakers. It's a little bit of power draw, I think, though.
Jesus Christ.
I would imagine a decent amount of that, though, is to make sure that whatever solution it has a cooling solution associated with it. Because even if it's not from the computer, the actual what do you call it? The actual mirrors and lighting and imagery would make it it'd get toasty in there real fast.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought you'd at least be able to appreciate that one. It is.
That's cool.
That was kind of cool to me. So I want to go over what you had there too, what you have here before we get too deep into some of the other CES stuff that I was looking at. You put a thing out there about the differences between the Ada, the 79, the W7900 line, and then the AMD lineups, and then the Ada generation, and then the Ampere generation. And you know, it's funny because I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Like with the exception of the fact that the Ada jumped so much in single point precision, I mean, it's like it wasn't even funny because it's also got a higher clock rate. I think the conversation you and I had before, right around the time it was coming out, was, guys, of course it's going to have a lot more performance. It went from Samsung 8 nanometer, which was a terrible node, to N5 at TSMC. Of course it was going to be a thing. I was amazed at people that didn't expect that to make a difference. And then you've also got the people out there that are kind of bamboozled by how much more single point performance the Ada 5000 has, when it has physically 2,000 more CUDA cores than the A6000. It's not got the memory bandwidth, and it's not got the total memory, but it's got the dang, like the raw horsepower. And that's the thing. I remember, like you and I talked about it, application specific. It is what it is. I'm gonna go off the actual setup.
Yeah, we tend to sell the A6000 a little more, or not more, definitely not more. Sell the A6000 easier because it costs a little bit less and it has more memory to people that need the memory. You know, I don't really know if they'll be able to leverage the higher performance, but it does have significantly more memory, and it costs about a couple $100 less, which is nice.
Although it costs the same price as the competitor from AMD with the W7900.
Yeah, but that doesn't have CUDA.
Yeah, it doesn't have CUDA, but it also doesn't have a dual slot cooler either. Is where I was getting ready to go with it. I don't understand AMD with that launch. Like,
What if you put one of those in an Alpha?
uh, I'd cry.
You would lose so many PCI slots.
I mean, you'd lose. No, well, although well, no,
I
you'd
mean,
basically
you would
you
only
would
lose
be
one more.
no, no. What you could do is you could put it on slot 3. It would block 4 and 5, which 4 is a 0 unless you have something in it, and then 4 and 5 both become 8x. So you could put it in 3.
Yeah.
And basically just block the last 2 slots and then still have 2 slots above you.
Yeah.
But it doesn't compete with the. I'm just like, golly, man. And, also no NVLink, which is still a thing, as I showed Chris earlier. I'll show. We can show the rest of the world real quick, Chris.
Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
There's about a 15-second lag between Teams and the actual live stream.
I am not surprised. I mean, we take what we can get. It's doing some compression. This way, if we cuss, we can just end it fast, even though we don't really give a damn. Yeah, no, I will say that SLI is not available though on a consumer chipset. It doesn't, because you can't, when you do X8 X8, doesn't work. You got to have the X16 bandwidth to be able to push the extra pixels for PCI Express 4.0.
So you can't do what you were doing on 4090s. It's got to be a Pro Series.
No, you can't do it on 4090s no matter what. It's locked out there. You can't do it on. You also can't do it on a i9 because the actual PCI Express lanes available is X8 X8 only.
I see. It's got to be Threadripper or Xeon.
Yep. You have to physically have the lanes available.
Have enough lanes. I see. Yeah, because now we don't have 44 PCI lanes on a. We've already had podcasts about that.
It's a sad day. I am looking forward to see what the next. I really hope the 2200, the rumors from the 2200 are wrong, and that there's at least like I mean, give me a 30 core. I mean, 2200 series or 2500 series. Sorry, W2500 series. A 30 30 core. I mean, you could do a 32 core by just putting one chiplet. And still have, like, literally, you'd have all the same things that you'd want. It would literally be perfect. Give me one full chiplet, one full standard chiplet, because the full chiplet's actually 36 cores. They disable just for binning. 132 core, W3200 would be, or why can't I not get my numbers right tonight? 2500 would just be absolutely primo. 10 out of 10 would love. Might not be able to buy and afford, but as a normal human being, that would be awesome. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day. Actually, I was having a conversation with somebody today about this. The thumbnail for the actual video is an image I took this afternoon of a laptop that I have that was getting worked on from the Dell Pro Premier support, and they had it apart, and I was like, oh man, it's not every day you get to see that. I was like, I want to take a quick picture of it. And he's like, oh, here you go. I mean, it didn't really stop him from his work, but he was just putting everything back together anyways. But yeah, it was cool, and one of the things I was thinking about, I was like, you have everybody talking about the AMD Intel AI war that's essentially happening on consumer CPUs. And I'm sitting here going, that's essentially what the AVX 512 and AVX2 wars were a couple of years back on business platforms and HEDT. Like AI is that like that's what causes it. Why are you being needy baby greedy baby?
Mm.
Your cat and my dog just are apparently wanting to be on screen for somebody.
We're gonna do it.
I'm not sure who.
Kitty,
Donald would be proud if he could make it in.
kitty cat.
We really, I'm gonna say it that this has been fun so far. Just we normally have a somewhat structured rundown of things that we like to cover and talk about. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, it's raw.
No.
It's almost like
There you
it's live from New York. It's Saturday night. No, it's Friday night, but live from your living room in our homes.
Live from where Brad lives.
Live from the places you come to fear the most. By the way, very good dashboard confessional record. But yeah, I was kind of thinking about it and looking at it that way. Thought that was interesting. We just, we sidetrack ourselves so much, and this is just kind of fun because it's literally nothing but a sidetrack. Straight off the rabbit hole. But going back to it, like, I wondered what AMD like, and the touting that some of the folks out there on the their marketing team did. It kind of hurt to watch.
On whose marketing team?
The AMD ProViz. Like I
Oh,
like
yeah.
that their ProViz cards are good, and they have a fulfilling place within the market right now. But they probably should have called the 7900 a 7800 again.
Oh yeah.
And
I'm looking at it now.
and maybe
oh, yeah.
maybe they could have given it a $1,000 price break, because at that point, all of a sudden a 7800 that's $3,000 or even 3500 makes competitive sense against the 5000 ADA.
Because it's the same price
And
as the 5000 ADA.
But if you got it at $3,000, it makes a competitive argument against the A5000, because then it's only $500 more, and it's just more than twice as powerful. Yeah, it is. It is just, like, that's to me like it should almost be a no-brainer. But people still kind of forget that. I am waiting to see what the RTX 2000 ADA does. That I don't know when that's going to launch, but usually those things. This has been one of the weirdest generations because there was such a stockpile left over. So.
And the elephant in the room with the Radeon, the size.
Yeah.
The elephant, the size.
Quite literally the elephant in the room. The big boy.
God.
It is a big boy. I liked their test setup, theory, and path. It made sense. And I like, if you guys want to read this, we'll
I'll put a link in the in the YouTube.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would do it, but if I go do it right now, we're gonna hear the massive echo pop up, which will be funny.
I get it.
You gotta love when we can avoid the massive echo. Echo. Superflower. I mean, some of these PSU brands kind of crack me.
Yeah, I have thoughts about things. I'll tell you after.
About the PSU brand, Superflower. That just, I don't know what it is. I don't know who makes it, if it, where it came from, anything like that. And Chris, just like that, bam, puppy. She's been sitting here with her paw doing like this on my leg the entire time we've been talking. I'm like, do you want to get up here? I don't know why. Why are you being needy baby greedy baby? I got you. You're good. Did you miss me today at work while I worked? You can lay in my lap like my like Dr. Evil's dog does. Um, yeah, but sometimes I kind of get those funny questions that I have to look at for these things.
I am curious as to when, and you might have talked about it before,
Go ahead.
when they're going to come out with the Ada 2000.
Yeah,
Because right now,
that's what I
because
was saying too.
because the cheapest Ada is the 4000, which is just under $1,300, what I buy it for. And the A2000 is $600, and
And-
then you still have the whole T line, you like the T400 and the T1000,
which is kind of,
which is
but what,
touring.
yeah, and what I was getting at with that statement earlier is that I think a lot of that is oversupply still was a thing.
Mm, mm.
I wouldn't be surprised to see, whatever in the next generation, call it Blackwell or something like that. I can't remember. Um,
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised to see that, maybe in, worst case scenario, January of next year for like the upper end pro cards. Because I
yeah,
mean,
because
that's
Blackwell's it's supposed to come out in the fourth quarter,
what's
and they're probably
the
gonna start with
yeah,
the compute.
and the GB one, that's supposed to launch like Q3. The actual like
A Tesla.
like the like the H100, H200 things. Those
Yeah.
that should launch late summer, early
Mm.
fall. So I mean, if that's the case, dude, I mean, you're talking like, yeah, late fall, early by like, early winter, we ought to be, and that would mean that, like, gaming cards might come out before Thanksgiving or announced before the holidays, and then pros right behind, usually right behind the corner of that, if not right around at the same time, it's right behind it, and that'd be huge. I mean, those that and it's the one, like I said, it's the one thing we can talk about till we're blue in the face is missing is in the pro line. If you want and that's what's funny, if you look at the actual A4000, which you can get for $250 less than the SFF, you get, you only lose 4 gigs of VRAM, but you get the exact same performance.
Yeah, we just recently, like I think this week, we changed the A4000 out for the 4000 ADA, and we held it. We were holding the A4000 for so long because we were buying it for under $900,
Yeah,
and like when you would when that's the car that you want, like why pay $300 more?
here we go. Not that one. I wanted workstation. Surely that there is I have to. It makes me mad if I don't do Newegg. No, so Newegg's got it for 1040.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. You want, and this is something sad Puget didn't do. And then if someone from Puget decides to watch this and wants to hear my comment to it, you're really done messed up Aaron by not putting the W6800 back in that mix last generations, because it is $1,600 right now. With there's promo codes to get even less, but the $1,600 right now with 32 gigs of VRAM. Now, yes, it is probably. I have to go look at what's out there. Or go back to the so it's probably sitting somewhere around an A4000 in terms of performance, maybe. Maybe just in between the 4000. Actually, I'm gonna go look it up because I'm curious. 6800.
Yeah, but it's like a cost less than A5000, and it's got 32 gigs. So it's a pretty neat, weird card.
Single point.
It's got 6 outputs. Good God, I forgot about that.
So where is?
You know, that's the thing. Maybe so we have our i9 uh, day trading build with two T1000s, which are like $400. That's really the main reason why. Well, there's two reasons why I did T1000.
Mm-hmm.
There's no power connector, and they're cheap. Uh, but maybe if you're trying to do like 12 monitors and you don't want to have a third video card, you do, yeah, because that gets kind of hairy. You do two 6800s. Hmm. Yeah.
Is all right. So it's only got 3480 CUDA cores. So that's gonna put it squarely in between. It's literally gonna be squarely in between a 7800 and a set. It'd be like a 7700 if they had one this year. But it is. What's this single point? It's got to have it on here. I'm pretty sure. It's double. Okay, here we go. It's 35.
35.
35 T-flops. So it is. It performs almost as good as an Ada 4500. Ada, not Ampere.
Oh,
Ada.
wow.
And yet it is $750 cheaper.
And it has more memory.
And has 32 gig. I mean, yeah, which is going to be what's
That's
the
a
that's compelling, man. And that's the kind of thing like when you compare like last gen like they're trying to do here, because I mean the whole point of this article was to try to say, look, this is where things are excelling. I mean, obviously, guys, if you didn't already know, most of your charts are going to look a lot like this, where the 6008 is at the top and everything else kind of falls below it the way it theoretically should. The 7900 barely edges out the A6000 in DaVinci Resolve. Let's see what we get over here. I mean, and obviously, like I said, you're going to have different varying differences here. The fact that the let's see, does the 5008 beat this so far? I just want to see how. Oh, here you go. The red bra result. Do you mean that was DaVinci Resolve? I'm just kind of going through the. There's the effective score. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Premiere Pro. Extended overall. Wow. Extended long GOP score.
sometimes it's kind of funny, depending on the workload, just how much faster that 6000 is.
Sometimes it's almost funny to see that like this right here with the 4500 with half the VRAM beats an A6000. And
I'll have to
how?
wait.
Go ahead.
I'll, I'll have to wait, see what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, true. Well, I'm like if I mean you sent the article. If you want to go down to the
Yeah.
video editing, I'm on for Premiere Pro. If you go back one to the extended raw score, I think it's back one. Yeah, the last one on
Mm-hmm.
there. If you
Mm-hmm.
look at that, the RTX 4500
Oh, I
Ada
see.
beat
Yeah.
the A6000 in the extended raw score.
There's also a typo. The A5000 is a 24 gig, not a 32 gig.
That's a fact. But I mean, but point being is like if you would have thrown
That's crazy.
the 6800 in there, where they're all kind of blended out and whatnot, like right here for example, you might see
Mm.
that 6800 beating the 4000, the
Mm.
RTX 4000 SFF for sure.
Mm.
I don't know that it would come all the way to the 7800, but only because I want to see. I will say this, and it'll make you laugh when I say it. I wish that if you go to Tech Power Up, because I got that I had that's what I got some of the numbers from. If you go to Tech Power Up, I really and truly wish you could go to and see like how the uh workstation GPUs compared to just the workstation GPUs. Like when you go to relative performance and it's comparing a W6800 to the 4070, and
Oh yeah,
I mean, no offense, I don't care. It's not going to beat that kind of stuff. Um, let's see. Next up on the list is Unreal. Holy cow! Yeah, and once again, the A4500 here is beating the Ada 4500 is beat with half the VRAM is beating the A6000 in average frames. And then RT in ray tracing. Obviously, ray tracing is going to have better ray tracing cores. Don't have to worry about that. Raster. That doesn't surprise me that a raster, the 7900, kind of took a performance bump up over the Ada
yeah.
45.
With NVIDIA focusing so much on AI and less on uh, normal compute.
Well, I think a lot of those changes, man, that's all kind of coming because, for lack of a better word, that, I mean, it's the future. It's the future of
Uh-huh.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. GPU rendering for V-Ray. I really wish they'd have done because like I said, they had the board and they had the workstation to do it. They should have done a NVLink test, but I think people forget that it exists because there's no NVLink bridge anymore.
We are consistently seeing the 4500 beating the A6000.
Yeah, GPU rendering Blender. Wow, the fact that
Wow.
the 7900 is so far down on that list kind of hurts my feelings. And that's the things that hurt my feelings about AMD cards here. Like, they have a lot of potential, but obviously when you don't have all the resources you can dump into it like Nvidia does, because this is their bread and butter, whereas Radeon, it's gaming. And to kind of understand what I mean when I say that, half of Radeon's development team and driver team and all that other stuff and those resources are kind of built around the fact that these things are going to end up in PS5s and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily the other way. Um, then you've got the Octane bench scores down here for GPU rendering.
Well, before we finish this article up, having seen the 4500 be on par, what? Having seen the 4500 Ada be on par with the A6000 in content
Yep,
from a laser scanning and CAD perspective, does that translate into the AEC?
I think it does.
Or
I think people ought to really be taking a harder look at because you and I were talking about this before we got going about how the 4500 is kind of the hardest sell. I mean,
mm,
position wise, where it's at is, it's more expensive than, last generation. I mean, realistically looking at it, the 5000 is priced like a 6000. The 4500 now is priced, substantially higher. So you kind of have to kind of look at things in that. It's not quite, the 4500 is not quite positioned like a, what do you call it? It's not quite positioned like a, uh, why have I lost the word again? Like an old
5000?
5000, like an old A5000. Yes,
Oh,
that's where I was going.
R-
It's
RTX 5000.
yeah, it's not quite like an A5000, RTX A5000. It's
Mm.
not priced like that, but it's yeah. I mean, you got to know like this is all kind of a. I think it's funny.
Yeah, I might find myself changing some of our a lot of our rendering builds use the 5000. Um, I might change that out for the 4500 because it costs like half, and it's I mean when it's for Octane when it's you know the same as a 6000 and Blender when it's beating the A6000 and V-Ray when it's beating the A6000. Sure, it has less memory, but we can we can have more memory with the 5000. I think I think saving $2,000 per video card is gonna be nice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a step down, but not a step down in performance. I
Uh-huh.
mean, it's not. And like I said, if you don't need 32 gigs of VRAM, it's right at the alley, and it is. It should be priced according to this. It should be priced about along the lines, yeah, of if you were to go and buy an old A5000, it's priced right about that same line, which
Yeah.
is, I mean, it's not where I wish it was personally, but it's a value proposition at this point. When they because last generation, like the 4500 last generation and the 5500 for that matter of fact, they were once again the whole excess stockpile and so on and so forth. They were positioned in a place for the actual everyday user, and they gave you a little bit more because they had stuck everything in the same bands so many times over. I uh I was having this conversation with a rep from Dell the other day, and we've talked about this before on this podcast. How many generations of laptop GPUs does it take for us to get more VRAM on a laptop GPU? It's why desktops make more sense now.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you also the fun fact for it too, when you think about it, because of its performance and you get the better drivers, a Ada 4500 is basically a an RTX 4090. You got same VRAM amount, not quite the performance isn't there obviously, but you got a blower card, the price is there, and then you have the driver support now. I mean, for certain things that might be the better way to go for a lot of people. Shockingly, just throwing that out there for those that aren't that might be out there looking for a new maybe looking for a new card right now or some of that new. I don't know. You never know what you're gonna get right now. You just don't. But you do know it's always going to be an opportunity, and sometimes you just gotta seize the day. At least that's just me. I like to say it. I was going back to some of the best of CES was kind of one of those things that I used to always follow it from Engadget. Used to think it was great. AI is the revolution right now. I mean, even everybody wants it in the computers these days. I just AI, what do you call those things? Neural processing units on die and the SoC. I'm what's funny when I look at those things and think about those things is I actually have two Intel neural. Here it is. Knew I had it nearby me. Two of these neural compute sticks, NPUs. VPUs is what they were called back when they launched these. But I have two of them, and they're like 15, $20 when I bought them, and I don't think there's a single piece of software unless you can code to it that can utilize. Now, if you can throw up if you want to do AI training or something like that, inferencing, these things are awesome for that. I mean, matter of fact, I'd even say it, to those that jump on here and watch this and like to see these things. If somebody wants this, and truly wants to try to play around and do some coding with it, and wants to share their code back so that I can play with it too, because I'm not a coder, I'll ship it to you. You know, reach out, send us an email at itguys at notyourtypicalitguys.com, and I'll get back with you. And there's a good chance I'll gladly send you one. I have, like I said, I have two. I don't even know why I bought two. I thought, well, hey, I'm gonna keep one on my desktop at all times. Nope.
No, you're not.
I did it for a while, and I will say I tried my dangest to figure it out how to make it work. I just wasn't good enough at it, honestly. I guess if you want to say the truth is, I probably could have used a little more work figuring out some of those things. It is a very, very, very cool concept, though, I think, and it's one in which deserves a decent amount of revisiting over the years as we go. So that was kind of cool. Okay, this one was cool. Samsung Music's the frame, or the Samsung Music frame. You know how a couple years back we got like picture frames that had like moving pictures for people.
Mm.
Now we have portable speakers that look like something's a picture or something like that, and they're pairable. Like some speakers out there, Bluetooth speaker sets out there, you can put them and pair them up to a TV and make it a part of your surround sound package. It's a really, really cute, cool concept. I think it's gonna, and I think it'll take off in that sense too. It's a great piece to have. I tell you, ASUS comes at us with some of the weirdest of all weird computer designs. They are still chasing a dual screen laptop design that they have been chasing for probably 20 years, it feels like.
Mm.
I mean, I love the all-in attitude on it. It's an intriguing play that I don't know. Okay, I've seen these things before. I'm interested to see. I'd love to have one for myself as someone that rents and doesn't have an actual house where I have a backyard to put a generator. But the EcoFlow Delta Pro Ultras, they're basically a battery backup system that's like a generator, but they are huge, dude. Let me see if I can get that can scale up to 90 kilowatt hours. All right. All things aside, if I was running some of those big boy desktops we had at full tilt all the way down, I wouldn't be drawing more than 1.5 kilowatt hours from that machine. So that's basically 45 hours of use. Whereas I have 12 minutes. What was it? Is it 12 minutes that we talked about earlier, Chris? On the UPS, 12 to 14 minutes. What you don't know is that UPS is tied to another UPS too. So it's right now. So it's kind of, I probably have 24, 35 minutes, something like that. But I also have a battery indicator. We were talking about that. Me and Chris were talking about this earlier. I couldn't figure out for the life of me whenever I was got Windows up and running and was looking at it why I had a battery indicator on a desktop. If you've ever had a desktop computer, you know it doesn't have a battery. Outside of the CMOS, it doesn't have a battery. APC, and actually I'm going to say the name because I got to read it for the first time the other day when I was looking at this. Sorry, I just started hardware info back up. What do you think APC stands for, Chris? The company APC. They make uninterruptible power supplies, or UPSs.
Automated Power Company.
Nope. You got one word right in there.
Power.
That is correct. It is the actual APC. The APC and APC stands for American Power Conversion, because they are converting AC into DC, and that's where they got
That's
their
that's a
start.
that's a total engineer name.
No, it's a total engineer to take a cool name like that and make it 3 letters. I mean, honestly, and I'll tell you this, and it'll make you laugh probably when I say it. For the longest time, when I heard APC, I just thought that was what the actual UPS was. I thought APC was the actual thing. But yeah, so those Delta, those battery backup systems, those are going to be kind of cool for whole home. But I mean, I think that's something that you might see in some more large scale like area, areas where real estate isn't something where you can have a gas generator just sitting out of a bedroom window in New York City or something like that. So this is something that's kind of cool for that. It gives you battery backup in case you lose power. And that's the thing, because these aren't designed like whole home power systems, like the Tesla batteries and stuff that they use in those solar setups, because they're not the same as that, and they're not designed the same as that. They're not flowing with the grid, to the sense of, if the grid goes down, you lose power. Most people don't know that. If you have a battery system tied to your solar system and power goes out, your power goes out, because it's tied to the grid. And because it's tied to the grid, they have to shut it off, or it endangers workers trying to get the grid back up and running. Power back feed. It's a scary thing. Working in the power industry, I learned that one day. Yeah, indoor smokers. I mean, I've got friends that love to smoke meats, and I'm just not one of them. I like to grill, but smoking's not my thing. Ah, one of my favorites. Actually seen in the wild cam modules from Micron.
What?
I think we talked about it maybe last week. The Dell memory standard that they worked on with JDEC is now an official standard called CAM 2, not just CAM,
Uh-huh.
but CAM 2. It
Mm.
is proposed and will eventually be the replacement for SODIMM. SODIMM was coming towards the theoretical limit. It's why most laptops have a lot more soldered memory on board, things like that. It's downside, but I say that to say this. So Micron introduced, and here's the other side of that. LP cam is a part of that cam standard. So LPDDR5, for those of you that don't really, if you have soldered memory for your CPU or GPU or anything like that, it's well, not GPU, but for your CPU, it's going to be considered an LPDDR. It's why the memory in your cell phones is LPDDR memory. It's not standard DDR, like SODIMM or something like that. It's LP because it's low power, because it is soldered so close to the CPU. It doesn't take near as much voltage, and 10 times out of 10 probably runs at 10 to 20% faster.
Yep.
Now, suck when you want to upgrade it, but it is a thing. But LP cam is now a standard. It's coming to a laptop near you probably pretty soon. Outside of the Dell Precision series, if you're wanting to see one. Still pretty cool when I look at it. Kind of cracks me up. But yeah, it's in the wild. There's a memory maker that is making it, and next generation. I don't know if it'll be next generation Dell or not. That'll probably still be on CAM because that's too late in the design cycle. But probably the following generation behind that will be on the new standard, and I'd imagine you're going to start seeing towards the end of this year laptops coming out meeting that standard, middle portions of the year meeting the standard. So they'll actually be a alternative way to buy, a faster version of RAM for your laptop. keep it and be able to also keep it just as thin. I want to say just as light, but just as thin as it is these days. There's just a lot of stuff out there. Anything you looked at and saw that was kind of intriguing? Because I've got one that I'm gonna bring up here in a second, but I want to see if you got anything.
No, I didn't really pay attention too much to CES.
That is a hurtful statement. It is the greatest time of the year. CES is gonna strike back on you. And do. So I will swap the screens again. And here we go. We keep moving my camera so I'm not sitting over here. Let me get to see all the lovely things that sit to the side, to the sides from time to time. Lovely things being my wonderful portable air conditioning that helps to keep my office cool. So, ultra wide monitors that are dubbed ultra sharp. That's the term I was looking for earlier. Ultra sharp monitors, and not just ultra wide, but ultra sharp monitors in general from Dell are a whole different breed of monitor. They're designed more for work. Things that are going to be on for a long time. They usually have some kind of a docking station on them. You want to call it that, or a hub. Might not be Thunderbolt, might be just be USB-C, but you might have one USB-C in or two USB-Cs in, and then a whole bunch of outs so that you can kind of not have to have a hub right next to right next to you. Well, Dell is for this year, they're finally updating. They've updated every other line so far last year, but they're updating their 40-inch 4K, 5K, as they call it, ultra wide, and their 34-inch. And what had me salivating the first second I saw it was that they get 120 hertz refresh rates for the first time in the ultra sharp series for ultra wides, which as somebody that has a 40-inch ultra wide that I'm staring at right now, would love to see that. Now, ever since I got one of these 2 years ago and gave some feedback, because they asked me, well, what's one thing you'd change? Maybe it was my advice. Maybe it was the 9,000 other people that have said this. Maybe it was just the fact that 2.5 gig Ethernet adapters have finally fallen in price that it just doesn't make sense not to put it in there. All of their new Thunderbolt hubs, like the 34-inch and the 40-inch, will now support the Ethernet port that's on board will be 2.5 gig. No longer are we living in the gigabit era. Tell you what, that's a feat. I just crack myself up when I realize I hold this sometimes and treat it like a USB stick. It's a computer. It's an Intel compute stick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Intel used to be into like all kinds of random form factors, and I miss that. Intel,
They went
innovate.
off it.
Well, okay.
Innovate.
No. They didn't go off it. They had to innovate in the actual CPU and not just things connected to it.
No. I would say profit.
No, I don't think it was profit. I think back then it was literally that they had they were getting 5 to 10% boosts on quad cores, so they were happy there and fat, dumb, and happy sometimes. But yeah, these things were cool. Like I said, ADD today. Scrolling. See if there's anything else. They do have they are display HDR 600, which is nice. And this is the nicer thing. The Thunderbolt 4 port can deliver 140 watts of power this time around, as opposed to 90. Now the 34-inch is still only 90, but I'm sure that has more to do with the power supply spaces of a 40-inch versus that 34. Um,
what's the power capacity of Thunderbolt 4? Is there
like
a
the of
top end?
USB-C right now, the upper end is 330 watts now. The newer standard out came out that allow 330 watts because that's what you need in a laptop these days.
So
If you
so
want
you,
top-end
so you,
components,
so you could run an A6000 off Type C.
I'll let you call NVIDIA with that suggestion. You'd probably hear some more "it's gonna fry again" conversations, which I think would be silly. But no, that to me was the one that I was kind of the most interested in. I'd love to see more. I know AMD and Intel both launched some or finalized or filled out some product lines. The AMD stuff is basically just a refresh of the CPUs, adding AI chips onto the SoC. Um, Intel kind of got out there and talked about everything that's out there. They also talked about Arrow Lake and Lunar Lake, which are launching this year together. I think the early part of the 5 nodes in 4 years was kind of a struggle for some people to grip, especially with the issues with the ARC GPUs early on and their delays and so on and so forth. I have a feeling 24 and 25 from a foundry perspective for Intel are going to be booming. That's going to be unique. I think that's something to watch. If you had money you wanted to gamble in the stock market right now, don't put it right now in the stock market. I say that. So, I'm gonna come back and transition back to us. Gonna do that, and then gonna go back there and say I need to see more of my face. So we are the knights that go wee. Oh, Chris, I never told you. I found out today. I was today years old when I realized you can rename your switch, your network switch.
What? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, if you have a managed switch, you can go in and rename it.
I think the one at the office is not managed because it was cheap. But
Well, those good 24 port 10 gig ones that we have
yeah,
they are managed and they are awesome and I enjoy them, and I will say it is hilarious that one of them is called Nintendo because it's a Nintendo Switch. For now, the other one's Xbox until we come up with something better, but had to go with Nintendo. I thought that was hilarious though. And to have not known that for so long, I'm kind of baffled. I did not know you could rename a switch. I didn't know that, like in the management settings. And there's, if I had the opportunity in a past life, I probably would have gone in and been like a network engineer when I saw how cool some of these tech tools that we have right now. Or if I was being, in school right now trying to figure out what I wanted to do, network engineer. Going in to be able to reprogram that stuff. Most of it's all done remotely. Oh man, a lot of fun. But yeah, that was hilarious to me. And I truly have to say, I think it was a solid choice on my end to find those things. And I don't even remember why I was looking. Oh, I do. I remember why I was looking for the how to access the Switch the other day. Anyways, trying to fix a latency issue I was having when I was playing some Battlefield. It turns out I just needed to. It'd been so long since I restarted the modem. It's time. But I think that's kind of gonna wrap us. I mean, as the hostess with the hostesses with the mostesses, we got to do something. Anything cool that you're looking forward to, and then we'll wrap. Just
I'm looking forward to the 128 gig RAM kits being available for Core and Ryzen. So then you can have 256 gig on an iPhone, or
yeah,
you can have it again.
yeah. It's been missed. I would agree. Um, anything else?
Now off the top of my head.
I was gonna say in that light, I'm looking forward to the non LR DIM or non 3D stack
Oh,
DIM 256
I,
gig and
I,
128 gig ECC memories.
I forgot about that.
Those should be
Ah,
those should be coming around the corner hopefully pretty soon. I mean, 96 gigs are out there already, which blew my mind to find out. But they are.
yeah.
Next thing down the line is those 128s, and that makes me wonder. All right, if the way things are going, will we have another stopgap in between that where we have 192 gig DIMMs,
Before the
256 gig ones,
you can buy the 256 gigs on Newegg. You can buy 4 terabytes on Newegg right now. It's
non 3D
49.95.
stacks, non 3D stacked?
Oh,
Remember,
yeah.
96 gig non 3D stacked ones out. 128s are being tested in the wild according to Samsung. They're out there and starting to float around. They have ramped production on them substantially. So they should be, according to everything you can find out there on the internet, folks.
You know, that would kind of make sense to see
Mm-hmm.
a 192 gig non 3DS before the the 256 is gonna be last. If it even happens,
Oh, it
it'll be
will.
last.
No, it will because
Yeah.
I mean, keep in mind, DDR5 is probably going to be around for. So I have Emerald Rapids, then Granite Rapids, then what's
Probably
the Intel
it's
cadence?
it's been around for how long have we been at the office? We've been there for about 2 years. So they probably get another 3 or 4 years on DDR5.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that, but I was also I was going to say more than that. I think DDR6 probably comes around 2020. I don't know, probably around 2030. Honestly, about 6 years. I think 6 years is really where you go.
Wow.
And the reason I say this, you forget how long we were on DDR4.
Oh yeah, because
We
well,
we clung to
top flight
DDR4 for forever as a RAM spec.
Haswell was the first platform on DDR4, and that came out in like, oh wait a minute, I built my 4770K in spring 2014. Oh yeah,
Let me see.
yeah, that
The
checked out,
first the
and
first
and
modules were launched in Q2 for ECC of 2014 and
yep, and
Q3 of 2019. Now, yes, Alder Lake was the first DDR5 generation. Um, that was 10 years basically.
yeah,
Not 10 years. It was I won't say 10 years. It was 8 years. Sorry.
eight, yeah.
8 years. Prior to that,
Well, then you'd be right on the money then at 2030.
that's let's see, when did DDR3 launch? And it's still kicking, by the way. DDR4 is not going anywhere realistically. So DDR3
No, I mean, if you're fine with
is usually,
you
yep,
know
we're
the
right up
128 gig.
we're right up the alley. 2007. No, DDR5 is going to be 256, buddy.
No, I meant DDR4.
Oh yeah. Actually, DDR5 technically goes to 512.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, here's a question. When do you think that's gonna happen?
Um, I'll put it to you this way. It'll happen before. Probably they'll probably have memory out there in 2027, maybe 2026, 27 that has that capacity. They
Hmm.
probably have in mid to late 25 3D stacked versions of it. But the latency penalty for those things is those 3D stacked chips is a lot higher than you would think. When do you think DDR, the original, came out? You had to guess.
DDR. Oh God. Uh, 90.
Close. 96.
It's not close.
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah. Well, you're in the right decade at least. Um.
Wait. So what were they using in when I was born?
Oh, no. Yep. Prior to that, it was just SD RAM.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. It is a it is a thing. It was the first DDR SD regular DDR SD RAM because right then it was just single data rate. Before that was SDR. That's why they called it that. That's why it was SD
DDR.
RAM,
Yeah.
single data rate RAM. Um, and then we came up to DDR and then DDR2. I bet if I went hunting, I could find a stick or two of DDR2. Um, the launch cadence has been roughly every 6 years. Like the release cadence. Let me rephrase that. The release cadence. Um, 6 to 7. So 98 to 2003 was DDR2, 2003 to 07. Only 4 years to go to DDR3. Then 7 years to 14, and then another 6 years to 20. I mean, realistically, yeah, maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 years from now, maybe 2 years from now, DDR6 is starting to creep in. I don't think so, realistically. Um, there's a long way that we can go with
Five.
DDR5. The top end of it, I think, is going to be way up there. God, I'll have to find it and send you a picture of it next time I'm at the office. I found a SODIMM chip that's got the weirdest notch out. I need to figure out which generation of SODIMM that is. Because that is a unique. Oh no, I know it is DDR. So I have a no DDR2 SODIMM. The DIMM that I found earlier the other day is DDR2 SODIMM. I don't know why I have it randomly in my thing, but I have it. Probably a small amount of less than a gig of DDR2 and a SODIMM chip. I will say it on my end that the thing that I'm probably looking forward to the most is just the rapid change of where we're going. So much is coming at us and in a quick and dirty manner. Thunderbolt 5 is really where I'm looking forward to things though. That's going to be my intriguing game changer between that and you know anything else I can find to get my hands on and mess with. It'll all be fun. I will say it this way though, as the closeout of it. I'm Brad.
Chris.
We are two of the three not people who are not your typical IT guys, but you know what? We still won't answer that question. Like I said, if anybody is interested in a Neural Compute Stick 2, an Intel one, send us an email. Uh, once again, it's not your typical IT guys, or IT guys at notyourtypicalitguys.com. Have a good one, and we'll